Electronic Arts, also known as EA, is one of the biggest gaming companies in the world. It has brought to us a lot of amazing games like the Battlefield franchise, Need for Speed, Mass Effect, and FIFA, which have made our lives more enjoyable. So, does this gaming company have anything they can offer to the low end gaming community? The answer is yes, they do. And that's why today I'm bringing you the top 10 low end PC games made by EA. So all of these games will have to run at different settings to get more than 30 FPS, and I'll be showing you the settings I use for each of these games as we go through each. Here are my PC specs. The results you'll see from the FPS counter are not the legit ones because the FPS counter and my screen recorder use the computer's internal memory, which will take around 3 to 5 FPS from the game. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. So let's get straight into the list. So at number 10 we have the Saboteur. Saboteur is an open world third person action adventure video game set during the World War II in the period when Germany occupied France. We play as Sean the Blade, a hard drinking Irish race mechanic who wants to take revenge because of race he was cheated out in 1939. The player is able to explore Paris, some of the French countryside, and parts of Germany. Color is a key element to the gameplay. Areas which are heavily controlled by the Germans are represented in black and white, with the exception of city lights, blood, and blue symbols of the French resistance, and the rest of the other places are colored with normal colors. Next on the list, at number 9, is Fury. Fury is a fast-paced action game with hack and slash elements. The character spends his existence receiving endless torture within a highly advanced prison composed of 10 islands floating in an orbit above the planet's surface, and you have to walk your way through these prisons. The game entirely consists of boss fights. The player's character goes by the names the Rider and the Stranger. The gameplay consists mostly of dodging bullets, parrying attacks, attacking the bosses by melee or shooting, and quick time events. The game is set in a closed world environment, but exploration could still be done within them to reveal unique dialogues and plot points. Much of the game's story progresses through these interactions, along with fully animated scenes occurring typically before and after every boss fight. At number 8, we have Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 2 is an action role-playing game set in the world introduced by Dragon Age Origins. Player assumes the role of Hawk, a human mage, warrior, or rogue who arrives in the city of Kirkwall as a lowly refugee but becomes its legendary champion. The player is not only in control of Hawk. From the very start of the game, the player gains access to several companions who accompany Hawk in and out of the battle. The player may choose up to 3 companions to bring along. The rest remain in the reserve, which really makes it more interesting. In the 7th place comes Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2 is a science fiction survival horror video game. If you enjoyed Half-Life 2, this will surely provide you with the same feeling but in a third-person perspective. You play as Isaac Clarke, who was the same guy in the first Dead Space. Much like in the first Dead Space, Isaac must fight necromorphs, organisms that mutate and take control of human corpses. To take down necromorphs, the player must use strategic disarmament. In other words, slicing off limbs or sections of the necromorph's body. For example, shooting a slasher necromorph in the head have a huge effect on the enemies in other games. But in this one, it actually has little effect. It can be stopped by shooting its blooded arms off. At number 6, we have Crysis. There is not much to say about Crysis because almost everybody knows this game. It is a first-person shooter video game. You play as a Delta Force soldier codenamed Norbert, who wears a nanosuit. The nanosuit is a technologically advanced suit of armor that allows him to gain enhanced physical strength, speed, defense, and cloaking abilities, which of course I think most of you know. This nanosuit was actually inspired by a real-life military concept of the Future Force Warrior, which is actually very interesting. In the 5th place, we have Mass Effect 2. What can I say about this game apart from that it is amazing? Mass Effect 2 is among the best RPGs to be ever created. You play as Commander Shepard through a third-person perspective, just like in the first Mass Effect, which I would recommend you first play before playing this one. Shepard's gender, appearance, military background, combat training, and first name are determined by the player before the game begins. This game has a lot of cutscenes and dialogues. Dialogue choices impact how others react to Shepard, the rewards for completing missions, possible discounts from merchants, romances, and most importantly, the commander's morality. What makes this game very interesting is that the decisions you make in a particular moment will affect you in the future of the game. At number 4, we have Battlefield 3. Among the most played games of 2011, this game sold over 5 million copies in the first week of release. That's a huge number. One thing I have to mention first is that this game only supports DirectX X, 10, and 11 or above. The campaign of this game is really amazing. It puts you in control of 4 different player characters. The story is set during the fictional War of 2014 and covers events that occur over the span of 9 months. Most of the story takes place in the Iran-Iraq region. Other locations include the Azerbaijani border, Paris, and New York. Most missions occur as flashbacks on part of the interrogation on Staff Sergeant Henry Blackburn and do not occur in order of events. In the third place, we have FIFA 15. Soccer is the most popular sport in the world without questions, with over 3.5 billion fans worldwide. FIFA 15 is a football simulation video game that gives the players a chance to experience what it is to be a manager or a player of football, or as the Americans call it, soccer. The pitch shows the effects of every boot that travels across it in the rain or sunshine. The stands virtually vibrate with the energy of thousands of fans, and you recognize the faces of each player right down to their passionate emotions as they react to bad tackles, missed shots, and that incredible game-winning goal, which is what makes this game great. In the second place comes Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge is simply the best parkour game to ever be created. Mirror's Edge is set in a futuristic dystopia society in which a network of runners, including the main character Faye, act as couriers to transmit messages while evading government surveillance. In the style of a 3-dimensional platform game, the player guides Faye over rooftops, across walls, through ventilation shafts, and otherwise within urban environments. Negotiating obstacles using movements inspired by parkour, the game has a brightly colored style and differs from most previous first-person perspective video games in allowing for greater freedom for movement regarded to its 3D environment. This allows for a wider range of actions such as sliding under barriers, tumbling, and wall running across ledges. In having no heads-up display and in allowing a range of vision which incorporated the legs, arms, and torso of the character as visible on screen. At number 1, we have This War of Mine. So far, this is the best survival game I've ever played with an 8.4 IGN rating. The game, inspired by the 1992 to 1996 siege of Sarajevo during the Bosnia War, differs from most war-themed video games by focusing on the civilian experience of war rather than the frontline combat. The characters have to make many difficult decisions in order to survive everyday dangers. The player starts off with 1-4 survivors whose actions the player can affect. The actions the player makes will change the type of ending each survivor has. Each character has 1 or 2 traits that help him besides varying stats that affect combat, movement, and so on. Some traits are useful during certain days, while others are useful all the time. If you don't have enough time, I wouldn't recommend you to play this game because it is very addictive. But if you have time, trust me, this game will be worth the time you spend on it because it is truly amazing. So that wraps it up for today's video. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more content like this if you are new to the channel. I rank these games according to my own taste, but if you feel like there is a good game that I've left out, just leave it in the comments. This was Ammo 10. Peace.